Come on in here, y'all. We need to talk about this man, this God. Meet Benjamin Banneker, also known as Benjamin Banneker. Benjamin Banneker is not given the credit that he deserves. He's not given the acknowledgement for being the divine Atlantean that he was. He is responsible for writing the most accurate farmer's almanac. He was taught to read by his grandmother and had no formal education. He was a well-renowned tobacco farmer who created his own irrigation system. He taught himself astronomy by studying the stars and their relationship to agriculture. His almanac would accurately depict the locations of the sun, the moon, and the stars every year. He was praised by European scientists for his accuracy. He didn't only include information about the stars and what was happening in the sky, he also included abolitionist material in his annual Farmer's Almanac. In July of 1790, Congress passed a Resident Act establishing a new federal city in Washington, D.C. George Washington's cousin, Andrew Eliot, was appointed engineer and invited Benjamin Banneker, at the advice of Thomas Jefferson, to help him map out the future seat of the federal government, Washington, D.C. It is said that he was able to map out and recreate the complete design of the city of Washington, D.C. out of his head. After completing this project, he returned home to his farm because he was in his late 50s and was ready to retire. After all the beautiful work that he created in designing the entire city, he was still being ridiculed and mocked for his work in the Farmer's Almanac because the Americas refused to acknowledge him for his beautiful mind. Benjamin Banneker, however, was no punk. And he stood on what he knew. He chose to handwrite a 1,400-word letter to Thomas Jefferson, challenging him on his hypocrisy. Banneker basically called Thomas Jefferson to the carpet, stating that while they were fighting for their freedom from England, they were oppressing people that looked like him. He also handwrote his entire Farmer's Almanac and sent both to Thomas Jefferson. Does this not sound familiar? Thomas Jefferson responded with this condescending letter and basically ignored Banneker's request to free the over 600 enslaved people that he owned. With no true recourse, Banneker published his annual Farmer's Almanac and chose to include the condescending letter from Thomas Jefferson. On October 9th of 1806, Benjamin Banneker died, and while his funeral was being held by the people who loved him, his home was burnt to the ground, and all of his precious work and studies were either destroyed or stolen. Because as you can see here, this is supposedly his wooden clock. This is Benjamin Banneker, Olmec, one of ours. Peace to the gods and the goddesses.